Freestyle travel. Hey everybody, Kenflannery here as always. Hope you guys are doing awesome. I am. We got a great episode here for you. By we, I mean me and Walter. Walter is one of my best friends from traveling. Met him in 2008, hitchhiking. Well, we were in Alaska and hitchhiked to Vancouver together. And yeah, came to visit him here in Holland. So they're passing me on scooters on the bike path. Let's go. I'm actually leaving his place now, but when I first got here, we recorded a awesome conversation. Just us sitting, I think it was the first night I got into town, or first or second, just drinking some beers, catching up, reminiscing on some of our travels, just a philosophy of travel all together. So yeah, just a fun drinking travel conversation. Other than that, last episode I was in Berlin and was going to the Trustroots collective, which was just outside of Berlin. So that's what I've been doing since then. And yeah, I guess I'll save that for the end of the episode. After the conversation with Walter, I'll tell you how that went, because I went to that Trustroots meetup. Trustroots is the couch surfing like site, kind of similar for hospitality exchange and meeting up. It's been around for about 10 years now, actually. And the whole point of this meetup was with some of the guys behind it, a couple other random volunteers, friends that I made, just talking about decentralizing hospitality networks, which is kind of a cool idea. We'll get into it more at the end, like I said, but the idea is to make it so your data is yours, eventually your friends, your references, all your connections. And it shouldn't matter whether you're using couch surfing, Couchers, Be Welcome, Trustroots, or any other random hospitality network that comes and goes, or something like couch surfing where they just put up a paywall all of a sudden. And then you don't have your references and you go to a new site and kind of have to start over. Or other sites where people just stop developing, blah, blah, blah. So the idea is to eliminate that problem in the future. So I'll get into the details more in the end and what I'm doing next and everything, but hey, this is Walter Heck.
So Kenny, you have been hopping around Europe and
This is true.
arrived in my house. Was it
man.
yesterday?
Dude, yeah.
Oh,
one of the best
perfect.
kind of hitchhiking days ever. Yeah.
Tell the story.
Yeah, so it was a slow day at first. I'm walking to get the beer so I can tell the story. Slow day at first. Let me take another sip of this beer. Well, actually, I got a ride very quickly, right away. And then I got dropped off at this gas station after the second ride. We're about to drink one of my favorite beers. Oh, yes, Rochefort 10. Let's go. Close enough to Belgium. Yeah, I got dropped off at one of the things I kind of love about Europe hitchhiking is the gas stations that are on the highway. The United States doesn't really have that. Where literally everyone leaving the gas station is like, they're going your direction. Like, they have to be.
It's guaranteed.
Yeah. Like in the United States and a lot of other places, like everyone gets off the highway no matter which direction they're going to, so you don't know. So you know they're going the right way. But anyways, despite that being normally a good situation, I fucking love this beer. I'm so excited.
While talking, that sound that you just heard was Kenny opening a Trappist Rochefort 10.
The good.
Which is probably in the top beers in the world.
Oh, certainly. So. Oh, everything about it is awesome. I fucking love it, man.
And you can get it in the supermarket here. It's like,
You can get it in the goddamn supermarket. It's grocery store beer around here. So good. Anyway, so I'm at this like gas station, and when they drop me off, I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. Like, cool. I'm moving. Dude, like an hour and a half, 2 hours went by, and then it started raining. And I'm like, I'm still in good spirits because I'm like, whatever. Like, I don't need to get to your place that day. I wanted to.
Where was this?
This was in just before Hanover. They were going into Hanover.
Oh, that's a tough spot to get.
Yeah, they were going into Hanover, so they dropped me off right before it too.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
And I'm like, all right. And then it starts raining, and I'm just like, man. So first I go under a little cover, and then I get my rain jacket on, and I cover my backpack, and I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm just gonna get dumped on and hopefully get a ride, and still nothing. And then finally the rain lets up a little bit, and then this dude, electric car, is like, come on. And he was a German guy, but he's living in Belgium now. South of Antwerp.
Oh, yeah.
Like halfway between Antwerp and Brussels, whatever one of those little towns is. He's the one who works for, he does packaging for the powders and liquids. He said he's responsible for most of the vaccines, the COVID thing for Pfizer, as far as packaging them. Right. So anyways, he was cool. He's like, that's where I'm going. And then I'm looking at the map. I'm like, all right, man, I've got a lot of options here as far as like where I bail and try to keep going. So I'm balancing like his route and the rain. Like, where do I get out? Do I think I can make it? Because part of me was like, well, if I know I'm not going to make it, I should go to Antwerp. Because then I can wake up in Antwerp and maybe go to like an epic beer bar and still make it here. So I'm just balancing all that shit, and then we finally stop. He's got to stop every like 250 kilometers to charge his car, which only takes like 20 minutes.
Was it a Tesla?
It wasn't a Tesla. I don't know what model it was. Probably should have paid more attention. But that was the story, though. Every 250 kilometers, charge for 20 minutes. Oh, I didn't even have my first sip yet. No, stop. Take it.
You get the raw emotion on this recording.
Oh my god, dude! Just the smell. The last time I had this beer was in Arizona, and it was a skunked bottle. I was pissed. As soon as I smelled it, I was like, fuck, dude. Like, they left this out in the sun. But not this one. This one is treated correctly. I love a beer that's so good that I could just probably smell this for the next 2 minutes and still be like, I'm having a great time.
What are you, Rachel, answering a voice message?
Shout out. The head is creamy as fuck. Look at the head, dude. Oh my god, this is
good beer.
This is way better than the ABT 12 or 10 that we just had, the blue one. I like that beer too. It's one of my favorites, but this one is...
There's a Rochefort 12 as well?
There's the 8, and then I think there's a 6. I don't mess with the 6 too much.
Yeah, the 8 is also quite good.
Yeah.
The 8 is like a blonde or...
I think the 8 is the double. This is the quad, and the 6 is the blonde, perhaps.
I get confused by this shit. Also, I have a pregnant wife, so I haven't had much alcohol in the last year.
This is the good one.
But back to your hitchhiking story.
So yeah, we stop. He gets us dinner, just whatever drive-through gas station spot, and then I'm still like, all right, thinking about my options, because at that point I'm like, I'm either gonna stop in Eindhoven. I could have hitchhiked from there. It was Austin. I texted you the name of that place, whatever Germany.
Oberhausen.
Yeah. If I was in a car, I would have left him there. It would have been the more fast way. And then Eindhoven, and then Antwerp were like the 3 places I could have stopped. Then we started going. I was like, all right, I'm going to go for Eindhoven. And then whatever, if I don't get a ride, figure it out. Like camp in the rain or maybe find a bar or something. And then he went out of his way just a little bit to like, get me to a spot and just drop me off on the highway around Eindhoven. And literally the exit he dropped me off in was the town called Best.
Yes, it's the best.
I was like, this is going to be the best.
Family there.
Sweet. And we got through a break in the rain. I was like, all right, you're dropping me off in Best. Like, break in the rain, this is awesome. Like, I just had good vibes when he dropped me off. And it was close-ish to sunset. Nice. And then I was there for like 10 or 15 minutes, and I was kind of glancing at my phone, like, how far am I from what? And then, this guy picked me up. And just right away, he was even making fun of it because he was like, where are you going? He's just like, how long have you been traveling? And I was like, well, since this morning, but in general, like 17 years. And then he literally did the mind-blown gesture. He's just like, what?
Does not fit in brain.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell, dude? He's like, I'm coming from grappling, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu or something. He's like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard. And he's like, you just so casually dropped that. I was like, well, you asked. I don't know. And then he's like, well, I'm going to Tilburg, which is like 10 or 15 minutes away. But I was like, all right, cool. Like, we're going. And then as we got close to Tilburg, he's just like, I can take you to Breda, which is like the next town.
Yep.
It's like, all right, cool. That's an extra 10 minutes. And then we get to Breda and we're going around it. And he's just like stoked to talk. And he's a super cool dude himself. He's like training people. Yeah, super cool guy.
I love that when people get excited about you and like you have a great conversation and they're like, oh, you know what? I'll drive you a little further. I don't have a specific plan.
Yeah, he's like, my girlfriend's gonna kill me. She'll be pissed, but he's like, it's no big deal. Whatever, I'll take you to Breda, which is like 10 minutes further. So for him, 20-minute round trip.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool. Like, and then we're getting like around Breda, and then we're going more, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm stoked about that, because if he had dropped me off in Breda, you know how it is, hitchhiking from the middle of a city or something. I was like, oh, cool, we're going to go to like the next gas station. I'm like, fuck yeah. And then like, I'm like, man, we've been driving for like 10 or 15 minutes. And then at a certain point, he's just like, yeah, I'm taking you to Den Haag. Nice. I was like, yeah, hell yeah. And then obviously even the next level is, as we got closer, he's like, let me put what address, you know? Like, and like, that's a game changer. People don't realize, because it's like the difference between 5 kilometers is an hour of walking. You know? Like, so he's like, let me take you directly there. Nice. So literally, like, the sun was setting, and I texted you. I'm like, I think the first text was just like, I think I'm gonna make it to Den Haag. Yeah, I texted you in real time, kind of. It was like, I think I'm getting to Den Haag, and then it's like, I'm really close. And it's like, I'm at your door.
We were on the couch here already sleeping, thinking you would be here on Tuesday, and like, it's all good. We were chilling and watching some, as we call this, moving images after a long day or whatever. Moving and is good enough to watch. Nice. And then I was like, hey, there's a text from Kenny. Oh, hey, it looks like he might be making it tonight. Oh, hey, he texted that half an hour ago. So probably he's like 10 minutes away. Let me see where he's at. Yep. And then we shut up 10 minutes.
A few minutes later, I'm tapping on the window.
The thing you need to add, it was a beautiful day with like a great sunset.
It was awesome.
And those days, at least I had those as well, where you're hitchhiking, you get to a place that you weren't expecting to get all the way there. Yeah. The sunlight is long and beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just driving through that last bit of daylight,
so
knowing that you're going to be sleeping in a warm bed at night. That is just a feeling that...
I don't know if I said it on this recording so far, but I texted you earlier in the day saying, like, I'm most likely not going to make it.
Yeah.
I'm
so I wasn't expecting you until Tuesday.
I was like, don't expect me tonight, like, but tomorrow, almost for sure. Yeah. And then when it all comes together, and you come and you see a buddy you haven't seen in years, it's just like big warm smile, happy days. Yeah. Here's a beer, let's catch up. Like, it's the best feeling traveling.
And I had a good warm-up beer for you there as well as you arrived. I was like, dinner is ready.
I told the guy who was giving me a ride, I was like, my buddy just texted me, dinner is ready, and sent me a picture of a cold, big Tripel. I am so stoked.
Let's go. Those are good. And then today is a good day as well. Like, my life, when I met Kenny, it was 2008, probably,
2008,
in Alaska.
August.
And, we hitchhiked together a bunch of times. We met over the years, every couple of years. I went to Las Vegas a bunch of times. Kenny would show up. I would say, hey, I'll be in Vegas next week, and I'd be arriving, and then he'd send me a message of a picture of him with in front of
a picture of me in front of Caesar's Palace once. I was like, what's up, dude?
Share a hotel room, all good. We had so much fun. Yeah. And then my life changed over the time. I got married, I got divorced. I'm married again. I'm very happy. I have a third child on the way. My second child is 1.5 years old. So
Crazy, man.
slowly, our lives are, as they go in different ways.
Yeah.
But that's totally fine. The good friends that you meet in life, it doesn't matter how long you haven't seen them and how different your life is. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Once you see
here.
each other, you're right back in that groove.
And especially like Kenny, he's once in a couple of years type of occurrence here.
Whether it's Turkey, Netherlands, United States,
all good, man.
hitchhiking through Canada.
Happy to see you.
Remember Dude Beer?
Oh yes.
Man, I've never seen beer in a 15-pack before or since.
I also can't find the brand anymore. I think they went bankrupt or something. Like.
I'm not surprised. You bought a 15-pack of beer, which is weird, and it came with a deck of playing cards.
These are the details you remember. I just remember a black and white can.
Yeah.
That said it's a totally black can, and in white it said "Dude."
Yeah, and the packaging was like that too.
Perfect. Like, how could anyone come up with a different name and think that's better than Dude Beer?
It came with a pack of playing cards, which is the exact same. The cards were all black. It said Dude Beer on the side. I don't know what happened to that pack of cards. One of us probably kept it for like 2 weeks and intentionally / accidentally left it somewhere.
Or it never made it out of
Yeah, it's probably at Kimmy's place or something.
forest thing that we're hitchhiking,
that was
we're
so
staying
random.
in.
That was that called Prince George or Prince? Yes. Okay. There was that ancient forest that we
it was great.
Hiked through. There's a picture of.
We stayed with this elderly lady, I guess.
Yeah.
She had a family meeting.
I think that's why we were there with the Dude Beer.
It was in the
And somehow there's a mushroom as big as your head. There's a picture of you holding this mushroom as big as your head. Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, that's what happens when you just.
So one of the things that's really good to know is that we are close to here. I live in suburbia, like Dutch suburbia. Life is good. There's nothing to complain about. Close to here, there's a mall, which is the biggest mall of the Netherlands. And it's owned by an American conglomerate, whatever the fuck.
Westfield.
Westfield.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, it's jarring to see.
Because of it, it's like a copy of an American mall. Like you walk around there, like, huh. I've seen this before, and it's not in the Netherlands. In that mall, they have a bunch of donut shops. And
I need to build up if we're gonna do round 2.
Kenny's getting nervous even at the mention of donuts. So the story is that years and years and years ago, probably in 2008,
hitchhiking to Canada.
Whatever, we were hitchhiking, and we had a conversation where Kenny said, "Oh, I'm so hungry. I could totally eat a dozen donuts right now." A dozen donuts? That sounds like a lot. And he's like, "No, not a dozen donuts. A dozen Boston
cream donuts." And you had to ask, "What's a Boston cream?" And
I don't know. I've to this day not had a good one. I've seen them everywhere occasionally, and it's been 15 years of entertainment for me.
It's the best donut.
Anyway, we were by the side of the road. There was nothing. We were in California or someplace West Coast U.S.
Oh, that might have been
Canada.
hitching up from San Francisco to Chico. I forgot we did that ride too.
Yeah, and then we said, okay.
Yeah.
So you think you can eat a dozen Boston cream glazed donuts?
For sure, dude.
And I was like, that's never gonna happen. That's a lot of donuts. You're not gonna make it. And he's like, no, I'm making it. Oh, it's still easy. So for several years, we would meet every year and go like, okay, where can we get?
We got screwed several times there. I remember this one time we met in San Francisco and it's like, all right, this is it. We got the time. Like
San Francisco, like they have to have Boston cream glazed donuts.
We went
here.
around, there's a bunch of fucking hipster donut joints. They're like,
We got Chinese place that
we got 3 of these bacon maples we whipped up. Like, here's a fucking cucumber sour donut. We have 6 of them. Like, no, we need 12 Boston cream donuts. Like, one of the
Nothing
best
else,
donuts.
just that.
Like,
didn't happen. So eventually, years later, We were at Donna's place in Chico, California.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, I know a shop close by that has Boston cream glazed donuts. Let me get some."
Yeah.
So she got
Just went
a
to Safeway,
dozen.
the grocery
She was
store,
really
yeah.
excited about finally finding them for us.
Until you guys screwed me with your fucking
And Kenny made a strategic
techniques.
mistake.
I mean, you
Or
guys.
so he claims as his disclaimer. So the whole story is that he didn't make it because he
Well,
had
that's the end of the story.
food in the morning.
Well, that's because Donna made her famous, excellent quiche. And what am I supposed to not eat?
Weep, weep, weep.
Epic quiche. I'm supposed to look at some of the best quiche in the world. Like, I didn't even know what quiche was until I met Donna, probably, actually, to be honest. Like, I never ate quiche as a kid. Yeah, so it's like, oh, have this slice of quiche. I'm like, all right, I'm doing that. And then we went, and I drank beer. That's not me. The beer that I drank, just some pale ales. And then
But the whole thing was epic.
I did get you sweating. So the deal was I can eat a dozen Boston cream donuts in
An hour?
1 hour. In 1 hour. And I ate 6 or 7 within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I spent the next 50 minutes eating one.
Yeah, no, it was
ended
the
up being
first,
8
the
and
first
3/4.
6 went in like, no, there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then the 7th, you started to definitely slow down. And then
Yeah.
the 8th, I think you took one bite and then spent 45 minutes looking at the
Yeah.
the leftover bites and going,
Yeah.
no, that's not. No.
I remember it was like 8.5, and even my girlfriend at the time, and I remember just like feeling like less of a man because she was like, you can do it. Like, it's only like 4 more donuts or something. And I just remember thinking like, I can't believe I'm at this point. Like, I've fucking, like, I've
I
crushed
remember
all
your
these
face
donuts.
just
It's
sitting there
like-
going like, oh my God, I literally cannot bring myself
Yeah, it was
to
actually
get
like unbelievable.
one more bite.
Yeah, it was almost just like you need to walk and you couldn't put your next foot forward. I was like, how is this? What is going on? I'm like,
So until today, Kenny claims that this is because of the quiche.
It's
and
the
it-
quiche, dude.
I think it's
You
a
guys-
bullshit. I think it's a bullshit story.
You guys,
So
fucking,
here in the mall, they have a Krispy Kreme and a Dunkin' Donuts.
I mean, that's as official as it gets.
should be able to find. I haven't checked them because it's not the thing I normally check, but we should be able to check. Do they have?
If they don't have Boston cream donuts, then they should be shut down. There's no way.
Literally.
Krispy Kreme is weird, but Dunkin' Donuts for sure has Boston cream donuts. But it's just a matter of a little preparation. I'm not so super prepared. I'm not in the best shape of my life as far as
Donut eating contest.
donut eating contests. I've been like not eating certain days. Like, but I'd be willing to try. I don't want to fail again though. I don't want another failure on the record.
Then it's for me. It's a double confirmation. I already know it's a failure, but let's give it the benefit of the doubt.
But I might power through. I don't know.
There is that opportunity, but also you're a decade older than when you promised that you could do this. So
It's true. I was in my prime donut eating.
basically, your geriatric donut eating years.
I know. You know Nick, obviously. Nick
Yes.
Rocks from...
Yep.
Nick and I have had some eating experiences. One time in Memphis, oh my God. He lived in Memphis for like a few years or something like... And we would just go and be like, we're just eating wings today. And like we would go and eat like a few wings at one place or another. There was one day where we just got glazed donuts at like 4 or 5 different spots. And we just waited. And then once we had amalgamated like half dozen donuts, we sat with this tailgate up in the phone, like a phone store's parking lot. I don't know why we were at a phone store, and just like tailgated there with these 6 different donuts. And we're just like taking little bites of them, just like, okay, nice glaze. Not sure about the fluffiness. And just compared these 6 donuts from different places. It
So
was
do you remember what's
awesome.
the best place in Memphis for glazed donuts?
Well, the best donut place, period, is Gibson's.
Oh shit, you actually remember?
Yeah, scientific.
I did not expect an answer to that question.
Oh, so the best story with me and Nick is actually there's this place called Gus's Fried Chicken, which I think they actually have franchised out a little bit, but they started in Memphis, and right across the street is Gibson's Donuts. So what we did is we got some chicken, and then I think we did this 2 or 3 times, like Nick and I, and then got the donuts, and then we were in this parking lot, I don't think we were supposed to be in, and these police like signaled for us to roll down the window. Because they rolled up alongside us, and they're like, "What are you guys doing?" And we're like, "Oh shit!" And I was right there, and I was just like, eating donuts. They're like, "It's good, huh?" Like, yes.
Hit it right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're just talking about other friends. We sent a message to Mandy. Mandy, if you're listening, we love you. I haven't seen you for probably a decade or something.
This is episode 101. Mandy made me start this podcast.
She made you start that podcast, and she probably knows it, but maybe we don't talk about it enough. She was a person that really changed my life with a single conversation. Sometimes you have these people that you just have a conversation with.
Yeah.
And they don't know that what they're saying is like mega influential to your persona or whatever.
What did she say to you? In Alaska or?
Yeah, no, I remember this like yesterday. I don't know if she remembers it that way, but we were in Kamloops.
Oh, yeah.
We're
TJ?
TJ was her name. Staying with her, and I was traveling. I had next to no money left. I had like $300 to my name. And I had these hiking boots, and I was telling Mandy, like, yeah, at some point, these hiking boots are going to give in, and I don't have an idea of how the hell I'm going to find the money to buy new boots. So this is stressing me out because, eventually this will be a problem.
Barefooting around.
And she got not angry, but like upset with me. It's like, why are you thinking about this now? Is this a problem today? It's not. Has everything else in your life always fallen into place whenever the need arose? Like, you can just be positive about it. Like, this is it's a thing that hasn't happened yet, and it's supposed to happen at some point in the future. And you can stress about it now and like be negative about it. Like, oh my God, when this happens, I'll be in trouble. Or you can just say, okay, eventually this will happen, and then I'll deal with it at that point, and then move forward to the next thing.
Yeah.
And for me, this was such a game changer. And then actually a couple weeks later, I flew home, and a couple weeks after that, my father died. And I really used this whole different way of thinking about it. Like, okay, there's a positive sides to every situation, and I loved my father. We had a really good relationship. I miss him many times in my life, but he didn't really suffer when he died because they found cancer when it was too late to do anything about it, so he didn't have any chemo or anything like that. And for me, this was a really good way to put this into practice. Like, okay, yes, my father died, and it's really bad, and I'm really sad. But also, there are things that we can be happy or thankful about.
Yeah.
And that's the impact she had on my life.
Yeah.
And since then, we've met, I think maybe once, maybe twice. I don't fully remember, but it's like that.
Yeah, I've seen her a good handful of times. Mandy.
Oh, you probably remember. I have a horrible memory beyond what I ate last night.
My memory is weird. Like, sometimes I feel like I have a good memory, but then other times, I think my memory is decent, but like my being able to put it on a timeline is not as good. Because I'll remember something really well, and I'll be like, yeah, that was like a year ago. And someone's like, oh, that was like 6 years ago. I'm like, all right.
Could also be true.
Well, I can't really line it up. But I know since Alaska, at least, it was probably maybe the only time
Yeah, we met in Harlem.
that we all met together in Holland, yeah. Outside of Amsterdam and Harlem.
I've been trying to meet her. Awesome. Like, she was in the UK, and then it was a couple months later I was there, but she'd already left. Those kind of situations. I stayed with her in Australia, and that she was living in a...
Oh, you went up there to was it on Solar?
Yeah, she lived on the top of a hill in this
that place was
hippie
awesome.
resort place. Like, I just remember a giant mango tree that was giving her more mangoes than any person could eat in a lifetime.
Was it a resort, or was she by herself?
No, it was like a property with a bunch of different houses spread out on it.
But was she by herself?
Yeah, she was by herself,
Okay,
and she
yeah,
lived
yeah,
on the
that
top
was,
of a hill.
Yeah, that place
Like
was
in the
sick.
distance, you could see the sea. It was fucking
that
epic.
place was awesome. I saw her there, and then I did a big loop, like all the way down to Melbourne, and then all the way up through like Alice Springs, and all the way up to Cairns, like the middle of Australia, through the outback. I almost walked into a spider web, and like it was so dark, there was no moon, that I turned my light on, which I hardly ever do. And then I saw the web that was bigger than me and the spider that like ate birds. And I was like, it wasn't a poisonous spider, but like would have bit me, would have kind of sucked.
Not cool.
And then I came all the way back and saw Mandy again, and Nick was there at that time.
Nice.
We went to this glow dance. Like, oh man, it was epic. It was so epic. She was just like, oh, my friend pointed her to one of your YouTube videos, and she would host you if you went up there. And then I ended up like dating this girl, Bridget.
Oh, nice.
For like, had an epic adventure with her. Oh yeah, chain of events. But yeah, I think it's been a minute since I've seen Mandy. Dude.
Fucking Australia. It's on the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
So I fantasize about this. So I used to fantasize about it a lot. Not Mandy, but the place that I would like to create in the world. Like, what if there was a place that had all the geological amazingness that planet Earth has to offer, plus all of the friends that you love in this world.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that would be like unbelievably epic. Like, it'd just be a town of all the people I love. They'd just be all living. Like, I could see everyone in a single day, and we could have dinner with all or any or a subset of those people and just have a great time. But also go like hiking in the mountains, diving in the sea, and camping out on in the wild at the same time in a single day. That's my
It'll be pretty good.
dream happy place. Turns out it doesn't exist.
No, you can get close. Different perspectives.
Yeah.
Depends. It's like a bunch of people in San Diego like to brag about being able to ski and surf in the same day. You know?
Yeah. Then how often do you actually do that in life?
Oh man, if you do it once, it's cool. But yeah, you're not doing it every day. It's a bit of a mission.
I went to Lake Tahoe once, and then I think the same day or the next morning I was on the beach as well.
Oh yeah.
Which is already pretty surreal.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like, with the kind of friends that we have, it's like just inherently impossible to be able to see everyone in the same day, because the whole point is that...
Yeah, and even to see them when you want to see them, like with you, for instance.
Yeah.
There are many times in between when we actually see each other that I'm like, oh man, I wish we could hang out with Kenny and just have a beer. And I think you are a very inspiring person to me. Traveling for 17 years on a shoestring budget is not something many people can do, and I find this very interesting because I guess for you to sustain this on a longer term, on such a long term, you need to be able to really master the art of living in the now and the here. And this is something that I think in general, people, at least in the Netherlands and probably in Western society, have totally forgotten how to do. Everything is planned and like arranged, and like stuff is doing now for the future and all that stuff. And there's something to say for that. Absolutely. Like I couldn't not do that and live just day by day. But I think it's very beautiful that you show the world that actually this is entirely possible.
It's possible, but if I'm being honest, sometimes I live in the future, which makes the bad shit like okay. And what I mean by that is like days like the other day, yesterday or whatever it was, like when I was getting rained on, while I was getting rained on, all I was thinking about was this exact moment. Having a beer with you.
Nice. Yeah,
Like-
but that's still a relatively live in the moment type thing. Like,
Yeah.
most people in the Netherlands are thinking about their retirement and like, where am I gonna
okay.
live when
I get
I'm
what you
70?
mean.
Like,
Yeah.
who the fuck knows if you're even gonna reach that
Yeah,
age?
fuck all that. Yeah. I mean, that's, whatever. It's a thought exercise, but I try to live in the now. But yeah, sometimes when I'm having like those negative moments, I guess we call it that, where you're getting rained on, you're like, I don't think I'll make it to where I'm going, and I could be
think that's
camping
totally fine,
somewhere.
right?
But I'm literally in that moment. I'm just like, man, I'm gonna be drinking a beer with Walter, like talking about this and how goofy it was and how awesome it is in this moment. And now here I am in real time
Doing it.
like, I mean, so, I don't know. I feel like that little thought process gets me through a lot of time.
Yeah, and that's good, right? I think that for me that still counts as living in the moment because you're busy.
But if you're talking about 10 years from now, people ask me that quite a bit, actually. They're like, so, and it's crazy. Even when I was on the road for 2 months, all the way up to now, where it's like over a decade, people are like, so where do you think you'll be doing in like 5 or 10 years? I'm like, what? I'm like, I've got very little idea where I'll be in three weeks. Like, like, I'm not sure. But 5 years, like that's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, and I think that's good. That's great. Like your entire life is engineered to live the way you are now, and it's not better or worse than anyone else's life who's engineered to think about the long-term future. Like, who the fuck knows if you're going to be alive? It's I think your entire life philosophy of enjoying the now and the near future is something to be very, very admired. I think that not most people, I think that a lot of people get lost and get miserable because they're so busy planning shit that hasn't happened to them yet. Like, that's just not great, man.
The fun, not the fun, I don't know what it is, funny or not, but like when people are just like deeply worried about stuff that might happen to them way in the future, it's like, I don't know, you can't spend that much time just like being like stressing over something that hasn't happened yet and most likely won't.
Yeah.
Like,
but I think that today's society is really set up to do a lot of that and to make you unconsciously be worried about shit that hasn't happened yet.
yeah.
Like the whole concept of insurances is entirely based on this entire fact.
I still can't wrap people ask me that. That's not like one of the most common questions, but it is a common question. People ask me like, do you have travel insurance or something? I don't even understand how that shit works. I'm like, no. And I understand that there will be a certain point maybe in my life where I'm like, I was pretty naive. Maybe something will happen where I'll be like, I wish I had that travel insurance, but I'm pretty happy I don't now. It's like, why aren't you? There's probably a lot of people listening or think like why? Like something will happen. You're like, it's not gonna be good. But also like I lose track around the world. Just like I'm in Ireland and they're like, if you break your leg here, even if you're not from here, you go to the hospital and they'll like cinch it up for you and no cost. I'm like, all right.
All good. The last thing I want to talk about, or not the last thing, I'm going to talk about a million things with you, but we just reached out to our friend Rachel, who is on my list of probably some of the most amazing people I know on this planet and beyond.
And beyond.
Rachel used to run safety at Couchsurfing, and then after that she did a whole bunch of stuff, and then she was like, yeah, maybe I just want to go and do relief work for people who are in like dire situations. So she was in South Sudan for a while, and the last couple of years she's been in Nigeria, helping people recover from severe trauma. Mostly she wants to be in gender-based violence, but
I met Rachel when I met you at the Couch Surfing Collective in Alaska. I probably met you in the same moment, actually.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Rachel was the first person I met when I got to the Alaska Collective. And,
okay.
That was awesome.
Nice.
And she's been, Rachel is a person that is also not comparable to anyone else I know. Like,
Yeah, we were talking
she
about
is
this
a
earlier. One of those one-on-ones.
Totally person, unique, and amazing.
Yeah.
And inspiring. I could never live her life, but I'm so proud of her. And she's like a sister to me. And we just exchanged some messages before this. She decided that, or not decided, like her time in Nigeria came to an end, and so she looked for a new job. And now she's in Kharkiv, Ukraine, which is on the border with the fucking Russian war.
Dude, it is right there.
And she's like, yeah, it's a little crazy because I got to this office and it got bombed the day before I got here.
Yeah, she's like, our windows are fucked because of this damn bombing. Like, goddamn,
Okay,
Rachel.
how about you just stay alive?
Yeah.
Is the main thing. But
Yeah, and the message was basically like, so I was actually surprised to hear just to fill people in. Like a couple months ago or a few months ago, I was couch surfing with someone and they're just like, oh yeah, you can go to Ukraine. Or I was in Ukraine or something. I was like, I didn't think you'd go there. Like, because they're at war. And they're like, no, it's fine. You can go in there. You might not be able to go too far, like east or whatever, but you can go in there.
I mean, especially with hitchhiking, it's not actually, nobody's actually going to stop you from going east. It's just that it gets
And I guess to
hell of
me,
a lot
just
more dangerous when
being
you go.
like, I'm crazy ignorant to a lot of shit that's going on. So I was just like, what the fuck, dude? I thought they were just like fighting hard. I'm like, all right, they're letting people in. So I was like, all right, maybe I'll go there. And then when you said like Rachel's there, I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. But then when you showed me on the map exactly where she was, like she's in Russia basically. Like she can probably
just outside, but
she can
yes,
probably throw a peach or an apple like into Russia. She probably could. She's that close.
For, a bomb.
She's a few miles from the border. I'm like, God damn, she's right there. She's right there. And she's just like, man,
Yeah.
getting bombed on, whatever. So
I was actually in Ukraine maybe a couple of months before shit hit the fan there. And I went to I was there for a business trip. I had to speak at some AWS thing. And then we went to a Champions League match
okay.
in like the Kiev stadium. And it was all totally normal. Like we had no idea of all the shit that was about to hit Ukraine within months. Like the Russians had been gathering at the border, but like everybody thought it was a show of power and nothing else.
Yeah.
And then a couple months later, shit totally hit the fan. And for me, it was one of those reminders that you don't really know what's happening next. Like, I don't know, people who lived in the year before the Second World War, did they know that a Second World War was going to happen in the next year? No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Tensions were getting higher in the world, but the fuck did they know what was going to happen? And neither do we know. Like, let's take a more recent example. Right before COVID, like I was in Malaysia for a wedding in Chinese New Year, and at the last day when I was before I was flying back, it was like middle of Chinese New Year. I was in Malaysia with a bunch of Malaysians having some gathering. And they were like, yeah, there was just some chatter. They were chatting to each other. Like, yeah, there's this thing in Wuhan, and it's like a virus, and they're shutting down the airport there. It's kind of weird. Like, I wonder what's going on, and maybe this will happen here. I flew back the next day. The day after that, they closed the airport in KL, and I would have been stuck there for a serious amount of time.
Damn, my friend Lily almost got stuck. That was I remember the first time I heard any reference to it at all. I just filmed the beer show thing that I did, and then I got to Chico with Donna, and my friend Lilia was talking about this airport shit, and I just remember her just saying Corona. Back then it was like coronavirus.
Yeah.
So I'm fresh off this beer thing, so I'm making all the Corona beer jokes that everyone's made. And she's like, I'm not sure if I should go over there. Just like, yeah, I'm not sure if I drink Corona either. Beer's gross. Like, hey, sure enough, shit happens. It's just another reason just to embrace shit as it's going on and enjoy stuff, because you never know, like anything, like anyone who's gone like hiking for a long time and then has running water, or you take a shower after like 1 week, like sometimes the most basic things are like incredible
Things that make
and
you
like
really happy.
And you never know what it's going to be like. It could be COVID, and all of a sudden just like hanging out with people is like an incredible feat.
Yeah, and so I think for me at least, I like to take the middle ground between like ultimately living in the now, what you're doing, which I respect a lot, and I think many people can learn a lot from. I couldn't live in like the future. A lot of Dutch people are like totally looking at like retirement as a time that they'll be free from work and kids, and they can go travel. Like that's all good, but now you're counting on reaching retirement in a healthy state that you won't either die or get seriously injured before that time. Yeah. Anyway, I like to take the middle ground a little bit. I think that this kind of staying in the now is really important, and COVID taught us this stuff as well.
Yeah, and you've already had like an epic experience, like fucking traveling around. Like I love when someone who's like 60 or 70 picks me up hitchhiking, and they pick me up, and then they tell me this story about when they were 20 or 21, and they went on this 2-month or 4-month trip to wherever, and like a bunch of places, and that's the trip of their life. Yeah. And now it's like 40 years later, and they're recounting it as if it was yesterday, and it meant the world to them. Yep. And you can tell that it's shaped who they are now and who they were from 23 to 33 to 43 to 53 to now 63. And it's just like, and yes, I've been traveling for 17 years, and some people are like, oh, that's fucking wild. Like, it is like weird. It's different. it's unique. But just going on like 1 3-month trip where it can be a little bit planned or not, like change your fucking life. Yeah, I mean, like for the rest of your life, it'll mean something.
When we met in Alaska, and there was a bunch of people there. We were doing a couchsurfing collective thing. We were all putting our efforts into making couchsurfing a better organization. We spent 3 months there, and even now, 16 years later, we have a Signal group of the people who were there, and then some of the other collectives as well. And we share pictures of our lives now. And like, people are like, I have 2 kids, 3 kids. I have all of this stuff going on. Like, who am I? Like, I live in suburbia. I have a company. I have 2 kids. I'm very happily married. And life is totally different. But I remember those times in Alaska, and even as we were experiencing it, I was like, "This is one of the best times in my life that I'm ever going to have." Like,
it's pretty cool when you recognize it in the moment, however brief or whatever kind of moment it is. Like those are special times. We're like, I know this is a forever moment.
Yeah. And those are really cool. So I'm really happy to have experienced those, and I keep having conversations with my wife that she's like, so we had quite a few years, even since we got together. We got together in the year after COVID. We've been doing quite a few what other people consider major life changes. I'm like, yeah, well, it's kind of how I roll. When you do subtle changes. So I'm about to have my 3rd child. I started a new business last year. We just last weekend we celebrated our 2-year marriage anniversary, and I'm really happy. Like,
seems like it. Came in here, the vibes are fucking excellent.
I love my house, love my family.
And Lily was starting to warm up to me towards the end.
For context, my daughter is terrified of all strange men. Doesn't matter, young, old, beard, no beard, doesn't matter. But
if they're strange, she's worried.
Kenny was here, and Lily came downstairs. She's 1.5, and she doesn't speak much yet, so she mostly has emotions to deal with. So she starts bawling, like.
I mean, you set her up. You set her up. I can't. I gotta take all the anti-credit there because you're just like, here comes the scary man. Who knows how much you
She
squeezed
doesn't
her?
speak any language, so she doesn't know. But yes,
she knows the emotions. I
know.
think we're cool now.
Yeah.
We have some looks. I was like, I'm cool. You gave me that book. I handed her the book. I feel like once I hand her that book.
Toddlers are super easy when it comes to those things. You give them a couple of their own toys. They're like, oh, thanks. You're cool. You gave me a toy. I will remember you.
Yeah. You handed me my own property.
But anyway, she bawled her eyes out. And then both me and my wife were like, we're a little sad, but also she never sits still for even a single second. So actually having her be afraid of someone means that she sits and holds us very tight, which is kind of nice because she never ever does any of that stuff. So we may have abused your situation a little bit to get some hugs out of her own child.
I'm glad I'm going to see a Kenny.
A Kenny.
Yeah. He's not here right now. We'll see him. To explain to people listening, I was with Donna actually when you announced, at least to us, like you're gonna have your first kid, and it's like, what are you gonna name him? And it was like, clearly you're gonna name him after me. And you're like, no, we've thought this through, and part of thinking it through, at least one aspect of it was like, we've seen statistically children with a name lower in the alphabet, like A, have better opportunity, as slight as that advantage is. I'm going to take advantage of that. So I was like, oh, so Kenny. Fair. I'll accept that. So Kenny is the shit. So
yeah, and so Kenny has been consistently calling my son, whose name, registered name because we couldn't choose a Kenny, is Aiden.
That's what you had to put on the paperwork.
Yeah.
Aiden.
Yeah. Really, everyone.
Kenny will deal with that. Yeah. My name's Kenneth. Most people call me Kenny. I get it. I'll deal with that.
But yeah, Aiden is. He'll be here this weekend. I had him with my ex-wife, so he's with us 1 week, and then the other week he's with my ex-wife, and he's a beautiful child. I think he's one of the things I'm really proud of in life. That he's almost 10.
He's a cool one. I would tell you if he wasn't. I've met some shitty ones, dude.
We'll see in another 10 years what he turned out to be, but we're halfway to him being an adult, and he hasn't appeared to have much actual psychological damage yet. So
we'll see.
I'm sure there are not enough opportunities to mess him up as a teenager, but for now, we're actually good.
We'll see.
Happy.
Might be able to screw him up one way or another. I've met some crappy kids, man. Like, actually, Molly. No, her kid is like super young. I don't know how old he is. I'm really bad at ages. I think he's like 2. He's
less than 20.
He can't talk, but he can walk. That age, he's awesome.
Less than 10.
He's probably one of the best walker non-talkers, whatever that age is, 2 or 3. He's one of the best I've ever met. Like, he's probably the GOAT. Like, you look at him and he's just got like this big like grandpa smile. He just smiles at you and is like, fuck yeah. Like, and then sometimes you meet some kids that are assholes. But Aiden was cool. And to be fair, I haven't seen him in a few years, so I trust you. I trust that he's still cool.
In the next podcast, you can report that you get clawed in the face and punched in the balls and
that son of a bitch
still survived.
Man, he was a good one. I think that's like one cool thing that I've got going as far as like traveling for as long as I have is that I get to see friends and family more than my friends and family in a way. Yeah. So I get these different perspectives and I get to like...
One of the things I started liking after a while, and I still liked until today, is to spend, not like to go and visit someone for a couple hours in an afternoon, but to actually stay with them for a couple days
That's
and
a brilliant point.
mostly not actually spend time with them, but then an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening.
Yeah.
And because of that, you kind of move past the how are you doing, where are you coming from, where are you going, all
I'm
this
glad you brought
superficial
that
bullshit.
up, man. It's a game changer.
And then you actually can have real conversation. And even though it's small parts and small bits,
Yeah.
I just did this with Andy Sanderson, a good friend, and also from the Couchsurfing Times.
Oh, I'm pissed I didn't know he was in
London.
London, man. If I knew he was in London, that
Stayed
would
with
have
him
been
a couple days.
so much different.
That's such a busy schedule, but then in the mornings and the evenings, we spend time, and even if in total, across 4 or 5 days, we spend maybe, I talked to Laurie, his wife, such a great woman, for maybe like 3 hours, and I think I talked to Andy for like 2 or 3 hours in total the whole couple days. But it's good conversation. It's real conversation, and that was really, it's really nice.
I put it in like a kind of funny perspective. I forget who I was talking to or talking about this with, but it's almost like going back to the days of having slumber parties. And that's what it's like when you actually stay with someone. Because it's one thing to like see somebody you haven't seen in a while that you really care about, and you go and meet for a coffee or a beer. Because when you meet for a coffee or a beer, you're just like, all right, I'm meeting them at 2 p.m. and we'll probably hang out for 30 minutes, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
But when you're like staying with them, then you have the night and then you have the morning and it's more casual. It's not, because when you meet for a coffee or a beer, it's just like, we're here, we're talking.
Yeah, we should talk about the important life updates.
Like, let's get all the things out. But like when you're actually staying with them, even if it's for 2 nights, it's like things just come out. Like it's less like staring at each other. Like, what are we talking about? It's like you go to the bathroom, you take a shower, you do this, and like things. It's totally different.
Nope.
Slumber parties.
Slumber parties, man. Yeah. We should go put on our My Little Pony pajamas now.
Yeah. Go get GoldenEye out. Do you have a Super Nintendo?
Yeah.
No, but it's.
And then today, just to give some perspective to people listening, if they're here, I worked on, like, I started a company last year. I did a full day of work. Kenny was working on coding trip hopping. And occasionally in breaks, we talked to each other and we had lunch together. And then after the day is done, we're having beers together, food with my family. It's nice and it's casual and there's no pressure on anything, and it's great. It's like Kenny was here last week. Well, actually, he was here was it pre-COVID? Because we met.
We saw each other in Vegas recently. Whatever. The last time I was here was like probably 2019.
Yeah, it was before the divorce.
Yeah, 18 or 19. And now I come back, I walk in the door, it's like, you open up that wall, your wife is different.
That's true. More kids.
you got extra kids.
Time did not stand still in over here.
Fish in here. You got a whole aquarium. Yeah. Things are changing. That is the difference, I think. Just back to what you were talking about a minute ago, like, because I think it's a huge point. It's just like when you actually like stay with people for a night or something, it's like way different than just like than just catching up with them and be like, oh, I haven't seen you in a couple years, and then you go and you like grab a coffee or beer, like you actually see how you're living, and the conversation's more casual and it gets a little bit past some of the stuff.
And it's also simple things, like I stayed with Andy, and then he has a family life going on in the morning, so his kids wake up and they have to go to school, and it's like you're just sitting in the back seat of watching someone's life for a little bit, and you see how they're doing. Like, you put his kids to school, and his wife is all there, and like it's a really nice view on family life. And for me, this is something I very, very much enjoy learning about human beings. Also, like.
So this is one of the things I'm trying to accomplish with trip hopping. A very minor-ish thing is like, Andy and I were never like great friends, but like I love that guy. Like just who he was, who he is, what I know about him. Just like I want to not fuck up again because I was in London like a few months ago. And like if I had known he was there, I definitely would have hit him up like and hung out for a night or 2 nights. It's like with trip hopping, I want to like try to avoid not seeing people.
You and me have a quite unique perspective on the world where you know a lot of people in a lot of places, but you don't fully keep track of who you know where.
Yeah.
And so for me, a lot of it is professionally. So I actually use LinkedIn quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time in the last 2 decades kind of like making sure that my LinkedIn network is complete and people I've met. So I went to London for a business trip.
Yeah.
Like my new company were just getting started. So I went to like London to like part of like a sales trip, but also like just getting to reconnect with all the people I know in London because my previous company was acquired by a British company. So actually I have quite a lot of people that I worked with in that company that acquired us and et cetera, et cetera. So I thought, okay, let me go to London. So I went to London, stayed with Andy Sanderson, and then met a whole bunch of people. And how did I reach out to all those people? It was just LinkedIn. And it turns out that actually, to give an example, an Australian guy who was running sales for a company that I was partnered with in my previous company over a decade ago.
Yeah.
We hadn't spoken for a decade.
Yeah.
And like, how did I know the guy was in London? It's because of LinkedIn. I looked on LinkedIn. I saw, hey, this guy's in London.
Well, how'd you do that though? Do they have a geo search feature? Or?
Yeah. You can just say, okay.
So you can say my contacts in London?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right, that's
exactly.
Cool.
Fuck yeah. So I just went to London. I sent him a message the night before my flight. Like, hey, dude, I'll be in London for the next couple days. You want to have a coffee? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So we met, and we last talked for a decade before. We met some other woman that's also really inspirational person. And we met a decade ago. Like,
I need to...
How do you keep in touch with people that you haven't seen in a decade? That's a fucking long time, man.
I'm cool with it, though. I need to build that LinkedIn if they have an API or something. Because to me, it's like, yeah, I've stayed with so many people, and you're right. Like, sometimes it's like you. It's like, I'm going to know where you're at, like, at all times. Unless you fuck me over and you're like, I'm in Vegas, and you don't announce it. Like, I'm basically in touch with it. But there's some people I've stayed with, and sure, I only stayed with them for 2 or 3 days, and like... Bangkok or something, but like
I think we just experienced it, right? We wanted to contact Mandy, like, which fucking platform am I in touch with Mandy on? Like, this has been years.
Yeah, which
and I see activity of her, and in my brain it lives that I've seen her activity and some of her story.
Yeah.
Which fucking platform was this on, and why do I need to spend my brain cycles on trying to remember which fucking platform this was on so I can reach out to her old friend?
Well, there's 2 different things. Yeah, it's like which platform are they on? But then there's some people that you only hung out with for like 2 or 3 days once. But like that doesn't mean 6 years later, like it's over. Like you want to see them again. Yeah. Like so if like that person, sure, you never like stayed fully in touch. But like my best friend from New York growing up, we go 2 years without talking to each other. He's like my best friend. And then I see him, it's like, fuck yeah. Like. So it'd be cool, like, if that was more guaranteed. It's like Andy Sanderson. We were never best friends or everything, but every moment that I spent with that guy was incredible.
He is
awesome.
He's one of those human beings that is amazing, and he doesn't really realize it because he's just a casual guy, and he's just like, I have a family, and I'm living in London, and I'm doing all these things.
Because I met him in Alaska when I met you, and then I did couch surf with him in San Diego, and like he was brewing his own beer. He's like, you can sleep in the garage if that's fine with you. By the way, if you reach your left hand back, you can open up one of the taps to one of my homebrew beers. He had 3 beers on tap in his goddamn garage where I was sleeping. Yep. He had that ambulance. I don't know if you ever saw that. He bought
it to UK actually.
No fucking way. Yes. All right, for the people listening, he bought an old ambulance, and turned it into a camper. It was sick. He took it to the UK?
Yeah.
That's commitment. That's like commitment. Put it on a freighter or something? Like
I know.
What a fucking see, this is why I'm pissed.
I think one of the things to touch on, and this is part of my.
I was in London for 3 or 4 days, like fucking. I would
One
have
of the things to
loved
touch
catch
on is
up with
that for me at least, couchsurfing becoming a paid service,
yeah.
I did not fully appreciate and realize how many connections I had on couchsurfing that were unique to couchsurfing, that I didn't have contact
Me
details
too.
for
It
outside
sucks,
of
dude. I thought most
couchsurfing.
people, I was like, all right, it sucked when they put up the paywall. I was like, well, I guess everyone I care about, I'll hit up on WhatsApp. What a fucking bummer. And then I realized I didn't get most of these people on WhatsApp. A
Yeah.
lot of these people, I'm fucked.
Yeah. And it's such a shame because I had hundreds of people stay with me. I stayed with hundreds of people. Like, they're just lost connect. Like, they might be fucking in the next street and I wouldn't know about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a shame. Actually, I had this in the co-working space here in The Hague. I posted something. Somebody posted something about a B Corp. And I said, well, B Corp is a little tricky subject. I have some... I wasn't personally involved in it, but I know some B Corp that has a little
Literally, the only B Corp I'm aware of is
yeah,
a shit show.
and so I posted something like, "Oh, like, this is blah blah blah, bad experience couchsurfing, etc." And then this random guy contacts me. He's like, "Oh, I used to be a developer at couchsurfing for a minute, like not a long time, but like a short time."
Okay.
And here's some of the stuff I did, and this is my name. I had to look him up.
Yeah.
And then he's actually there.
Yeah.
And so he recognized my name and the fact that I said that it was with couchsurfing for a bit. And I was only with couchsurfing for like 3 months. Like, it was not a big deal at all. But it was so great to meet a person in a random other community just because you actively said that you were in a different community.
Yeah.
And I think that's also at the same time a little sad, because one of the things that LinkedIn is really good at is maintaining your identity as a person across all of the organizations that you're a part of.
Okay.
So like we move in life every 0 to X years, we move to something else.
Yeah.
Whether it's professionally, but also personally. Like, you get a new hobby, or you get a new language, or you live in a new place, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, your personal situation changes. And then even if your personal situation doesn't change, the platforms that you're on, like Facebook, used to be the hot shit. And now, at least here in the Netherlands, it's frowned upon. Like,
Right.
old school people are on Facebook, and it's not that interesting anymore. So that changes over time where you go and reach out to your friends, and people are not aware enough of how they're locking their data into a platform and then not be able to get it out. Because my shit is locked in couchsurfing, and there's no way I'm getting it out ever.
There's subtle ways you can get it out, but it's fucking not intuitive. I gotta pee. How much beer do we have left?
I don't know. These are all actions on you. I will sit here and wait for you to report back.
I know. Well, now I gotta pee on the podcast. as well as grab beer. I might be grabbing random beer. We'll see.
So Kenny mentioned that he has a love for single malt whiskeys. And then I have 4 bottles of whiskey here. Most are like 2/3 or more empty. I've had them for years and years because I don't actually drink that much. But we have here a Macallan 12-year-old. It's very good, triple cask matured. I love it. I have I wasn't familiar with this until I got the bottle, a Ben Romack Speyside single malt. 15 years old. Very smooth and delicious whiskey. And I have a Talisker 10 years old. And this one is also very nice, a little bit more hard, but quite nice. And then one of my show bottles is a Smokehead, which is a crazy peaty mixed whiskey. And it's crazy. They measure the peatiness of whiskey in a certain unit, and I forget what this one is, but it's something crazy. You open the bottle, you don't even have to hold it to your face, and you can smell the smokiness.
I overheard you talking. I was like, I don't even need to make an edit. Probably need to mute myself pissing. I was like, you're keeping the podcast going.
That's what I do. I keep
Talking about whiskey?
I keep parties going.
All right.
Also, because you said you would go and look for beers, and you came back empty-handed.
Well, I heard you talking about whiskey. I was like, I guess we're going to whiskey.
Okay, fine.
Because we drank the last of the beers that I got today. Man, this Rochefort, man. So good. It's so good. This Rochefort 10. It's it's epic. So what do we got here?
Give me your glass. I will start with the Ben Romack Speyside Single Malt.
All right.
15 years old.
Nice.
It is. I'll give you a small bit because I actually want you to taste the other ones, and then
the smokehead. Woo.
Put it on.
Cheers.
Volume.
Cheers. Just the smell alone is happiness.
You just went to Ireland, right? How are the Irish whiskies?
I'm gonna take a sip of this real quick. I've been refactoring my opinion about Ireland and their alcohol and everything.
What does this mean in a Kenny context?
Unfortunately, it's like a little bit of a downgrade.
Oh.
A little bit. It's still above the threshold. I'm not telling anyone not to drink in Ireland or go to Ireland. It's just all right. Well, I can come at it from two angles, but it's the same angle. Let's just go with beer first of all. So the first time I went to Ireland, obviously I was like, let's get down some Guinness.
Yep.
But then, of course, I was like, so what do you guys got for like weird little craft breweries? And I found a couple. Something Rabbit. I was like, all right, cool. But then as I've been going to Ireland over the years, and especially this last time, a few months ago, like it's pretty rare for breweries to actually have a tap room. Too, is almost like breweries were factories. It's the way it's kind of treated in Ireland. It's like, oh yeah, they brew beer. And I'd be like, oh, we should go to the brewery. And like, why would we go to the factory? Shouldn't we go drink the beer? I'm like,
oh, that's interesting.
I want to drink it where they make it. It's like, how? Like, so yeah, that's like a rare thing. Like a lot of the places where they brew beer in Ireland, like they don't have tap rooms. They treat it. Yeah, so I was like, that's fucking
seems like a lost opportunity.
Huge lost opportunity. Like massive, dude. Like, I wanted to film some episodes of my beer show. And I would find a beer that I finally liked, and then I'd look it up, and it was just like, what are their hours? It's like 9 to 5. I'm like, oh, that's not a tap room. Like, why is this even on Google Maps? Kenniger was my favorite brewery.
Yeah.
And I had this most recent time. They're like up near Letterkenny, but yeah, it's hard to find. And then whiskey, which is what you brought up. It seems like it's been all distilled into just a few distilleries. So it's hard to find like a craft distillery in Ireland.
Yeah.
Where's this one from? Because in Scotland it's the opposite. Scotland is just full of like little craft distilleries that are pretty decent. I mean, there's Talisker and stuff, like big boys. But I feel like even the big boys are good.
Let me see if it says anything on the bottle. Made by hand for genuine character. Are you a genuine character, Kenny?
Was this made by hand? Like,
oh man.
My mom was cracking
Handmade
me up
at the
on
Ben Romack Distillery, founded in 1898. What were you doing in 1898?
probably not fiddling whiskey with my hand. Anytime one of these places like is handmade, I'm like, Really don't want to brag about
At
that.
our family-owned distillery, we handcraft our whiskey in the traditional way, using the Jesus, my eyes are bad. Senses of our experienced distillers to make a Speyside whiskey with the subtle, smoky Benroma character.
I'll tell you what. I don't care if they handmade this or not. It tastes fucking good, dude. This is really good.
Matured in the highest quality of oak casks, our 15 years old single malt gives cracked pepper, charred oak, apples, dark chocolates, and forest fruits with rich sherry notes and a touch of smoke.
I'll tell you, every single thing that you said made sense, except for forest fruits, because I don't know what that forest fruit is.
Like raspberry.
Huckleberry Finn? He was kind of a fruity forest guy. This is really good.
When you smell the whiskey, you just put your nose over it and just smell it. You have this smokiness that I fucking love.
There is like just a little sweetness to it too. Just like this is really good.
Yeah, this one, it's also the most empty bottle. It's one of my favorites.
I can tell. Just for anyone listening, just to reiterate, the name of this is Ben Romack. Pronounced it perfectly. Ben Romack. Speyside. Man, this is... Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, that Macallan 12 is very smooth. So this one is a bit more smoky. It's for people who like smoky whiskey. That Macallan is super smooth.
Yeah, some people like the super smooth. I like the crazy peaty. I'm looking forward to this guy.
The smokehead.
But this is like the perfect... You know what it is? Because it tastes like... It's smooth, but it's got the smoke. But it's got the smoke in like a dark chocolate-covered nut kind of way. Like it's good. Damn, it's good.
So you want to go and hit up the smokehead before going to anything else?
Straight to the smokehead.
Smokehead, then Talisker, then Macallan.
Maybe.
Maybe we stop at the smokehead.
We should probably stop at the smokehead.
Do Macallan Talisker tomorrow or some other day. This smokehead is one of those bottles that I bought at an airport. Nothing fancy, but it's particularly priding itself of its peatiness. And when you smell it, I am not joking.
Dude, I opened up the cap already and took a whiff.
Opening up the bottle, it literally just smells like a beam of wood that's been charred, sitting in your room for an hour. Like, that's how it smells.
Fuck. Yeah, it smells so
And I've
good.
had this bottle for years, so I'm pretty sure it's over its peak, but it's actually still having that.
Dude, the airport stuff, I feel like I underrate airport booze. Like, just probably because I'm just a cheap son of a bitch. Like, what opportunity is better than getting booze at an airport? Like,
What I realize is that all that tax-free thing is bullshit because they tax it, they hike up the prices by whatever the tax is. So you think you're getting a good deal because it's less than it would normally be, but it's still more expensive than if you just bought it in a fucking supermarket or a distillery here.
Gotcha.
But the good ones are the actual real big discounts that they tout. Because those are actually cheaper than what you get locally. Cheers to the smokehead. I haven't had a sip of smokehead in the last, I don't know how many whiskey sessions, because it takes a smoke lover to appreciate what's going on here.
It smells so good.
This whiskey is called Smokehead Extra Rare ILA Single Malt Scotch Whiskey.
Yeah. That's good. I just like the smokiness.
Like drinking a burned piece of wood.
Fuck yeah. Dude, man,
when you travel a bunch, it's kind of weird to have memories like the one I'm about to explain to you. I can't remember where I was at all, but I do remember that I got to the airport, and whatever currency I had, I knew I was fucked. I mean, I had like 15 squiddly bots left, and I was like, well, I need to spend these squiddly bots. I'm never going to be in X country again. I can't remember where I was going, but I was like, it's probably the only time I was in an airport and I got this, like
Nice.
the whatever booze. And I don't know what the process normally is. Like, I feel like sometimes they hold on to your booze for you or something.
Depends on the airport.
But I know for sure every plane you get on, they're like, don't drink alcohol. That isn't this shit that we sell to you directly.
Yeah.
But I was like, physics allows me to do whatever I want. So, man, I got on this plane and I just got hammer face, dude, on my 15.
While on the plane or before getting on the plane?
No, at the airport, I bought as much alcohol as I could with my 15 squiddly bots. And then as soon as I got on the plane, I was like, man, let's go. And it was one of those flights where they actually gave you stuff for free, like Coca-Cola or Sprite.
Yeah.
I fly a lot of, when I do fly, it's like cheap as hell. And sometimes they won't even give you water. But it was one of those flights where they'd at least give you whatever. So and whoever my neighbor was, my seatmate, I was like, man, have some of this. I think I was going to Kuala Lumpur or Malaysia or something.
Yeah, maybe. I think the key is to stay nice to your flight attendants.
Yeah.
Because if you treat them like shit, you're in a world of pain, and you're bringing your flight into a world of pain.
Yeah,
like, it's not going to make anyone happy.
If you're treating them like shit, you're a problem already. Like, yeah.
And people still do it, unfortunately, because people are assholes.
Yeah, I don't know why.
So on a totally different tangent, this is something that I worry about. Like, I have a son who is 9.5, almost 10.
Yeah.
I'm not so worried about his future because all I need to do is teach him how to be a decent human being and not treat women like shit.
There
Which
you
is
go.
a relatively easy task compared to both my 1.5-year-old daughter and my unborn second daughter, which I will unfortunately need to teach how to deal with the fact that there's a lot of bullshit in the world, and as a woman, you face significantly more of that bullshit than as a man. As much as we try to not be that be the case, but that is the reality of
No.
things. So
Tougher task.
we'll see. We have a decade until they get to be teenagers or.
I like it. Like, how am I going to teach them how to be a flight attendant? The premium
Not
job.
sure that was the takeaway, but
Like, considering that their destiny is to be a stewardess, how do I teach them? I think anyone that you interact with will be just fine. I got a feeling.
I hope so. One of my co-founders is a woman from Bulgaria, and she always really nicely explains how she became to be a woman in tech. And that's not when I needed to go studying something, I chose to be in tech. But she has stories from her entire life where people or women, actually specifically in her nearby circle, actually did a bunch of things that later were deemed to be for men or whatever. So she grew up with her grandmother being a coder and a whole bunch of other things that just encourage her as a woman to pursue a career in technology as an adult person, while many of those paths, it starts really simple, and I'm noticing it now with Lily. Like, if you want to make a almost 2-year-old really happy with toys, you buy a fucking Barbie doll. What do you do with a boy? You don't buy a Barbie doll. You buy something like Lego or a Duplo or something that they can
Something cool.
do something with.
Yeah.
And it starts there. Like it's not actually later in life where you can say, "Oh, I wish we could hire more women." It's actually, starting with early stuff like this. Like
Yeah.
that's where it starts. If you don't support that part, then the later parts you can't expect any kind of success.
What do they get interested in? It must be an interesting perspective with, especially with what you're doing with AI, and then to be dealing with like a very low model AI that is like, it's crazy. Like she's already more capable than any AI, but she doesn't have the exact training. What do you think that's accurate? Or do you think?
That's really interesting stuff. So professionally, I've been dealing a lot with Gen AI, generative AI, and specifically with LLM.
Yeah.
And this really depends on how serious you take the matter and how close up you are. So on Twitter, there's a couple of really good voices, and one is a researcher who has like 2 or 3 decades of experience, like solid sound AI ML type of background. Like you can't tell this guy that he doesn't know what he's talking about because he spent the last 2 decades learning about it before any of us were even aware of all that stuff. He was working on it. But then also he's a total asshole on Twitter, and in my opinion, this is a quite interesting thing. So the question is, what do you want from AI? So some people say I want this advanced general intelligence or artificial general intelligence, AGI, because then this thing can think for itself and I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's not at all what we, at least in the short term, want or need. We just want to be more productive. If you look at like going from a calculator to using a cash register,
Yeah.
that jump wasn't huge, but it was actually a huge win for productivity because it enables a whole bunch of other things that we didn't have before then. And I think that with Gen AI, it's very similar. It enables us to worry about a bunch of stuff that's different than what we worried about before, but actually provides much more opportunity to do cool things.
Yeah. Well, it's huge. You can do so much.
Yeah, you're also using quite a lot, so I think that the best analogy that I've seen is to compare it to like consumer internet 1996, 1997.
Yeah. AOL.
Yeah, we just got internet connections at home, 1997. We just had it for a year and a half. My father did some online banking stuff. I did because it was guaranteed by the Dutch banking system, including like, what if we lose all of our money? They said, oh, we will get you that money back, etc., etc. But that was quite a trip to get all that working, and I don't know. We're chipping away at the next steps of our challenges and enjoying that as much as possible.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. It's cool to catch up with you in this moment too, just because you've got your whole latest startup in AI, and I'm just.
Are you sure you're catching up with me, or are you right now talking to yourself in like 8 different monitors?
I don't know, are we in a simulation?
Who knows?
That's true. But yeah, just to yeah, I don't know, because like what I'm doing with it is like double-edged, because like I'm using it to be productive, and I'm also using it to make other people productive, which is exactly what you're doing too. It's like I'm using AI to write the code for a program that's using AI to
I think it's
make
worth
other people more productive.
checking into Gen AI type of stuff, and what is your company doing, and how could we help? I think those are important things.
Damn. It's exciting.
I also think I'm going to bed soon, so
Fucking name.
probably...
Well, to those people in podcast land, hope you guys are doing awesome. And
I love you.
Fucking name.
All right, good times with Walter. So wound up staying for just over a week, actually. Geeking out, doing different stuff on the laptops, tasting some beers, having good quality time with Walter and the fam. Fuck, it's been awesome. And the idea now, where am I? Gotta get my bearings here. I'm actually walking to a hitchhiking spot right now as I'm recording this episode. Yeah, in The Hague. So said I would tell you about the Trustroots thing a little more, and then I'll tell you where I'm going now, literally now. Yeah, so after Berlin, I caught a ride with another guy who was going to the Trustroots meetup west of Berlin. I rode with him, got to this house. Another friend of mine, Casper, and another guy who have full access to Trustroots, basically the two people behind Trustroots right now. And yeah, a few other volunteers, some techie, some not so techie. One guy has bikesurf.org, and Berlin and other cities, you can go and get a free bike, or you can, like, you know, pay a little bit of money, kind of whatever you feel like paying, or I guess you could not pay. The idea is to just, yeah, share a bike. So anyways, met a lot of like-minded kind of people and travel kind of people. But the idea was to implement this protocol called Nostr. Here's where I'll get a little bit nerdy, but it's for the good. Nostr is a decentralized protocol that right now a lot of people are using to make like Twitter clones, basically, is the main thing. But the idea is that you own your own private key, basically your own identity, and it's put on various servers, and it can't be owned by anybody other than you. And you can take that, it's essentially like a username password if you want to think about it that way, but it's public and private key. And you can use your identity on any site that uses this technology. So if you don't like the site you're using, you can just move and use a different app or whatever, but all your information comes with you, be it your profile or your tweets, your notes. And the idea with Trustroots is to implement this into a hospitality network. That way your profile, your references, your contacts and friends, even your messages, all that is yours. And it's decentralized on different servers, so it can never be taken down. So if Trustroots were to fail for whatever reason, if everyone who had access to the servers or whatever were to pass away in some crazy accident, or something like Couchsurfing just decides to put up a paywall, whatever it is, your data is still intact and you can just move on to the next app or website that you want and not lose all your stuff, be it trip hopping or whatever. So pretty awesome idea. So I was intrigued, a little bit skeptical, kind of excited at the idea of sharing data like that. Having portable data anyways. Those of you who've been listening a bunch know that I have my trip hopping app going, and it's kind of cool to think that people can join trip hopping and just immediately have access to all their connections that they've already made on other sites like Trustroots and not have to start over. I know when Couchsurfing put up their paywall, I had I don't know, a few hundred references or something. But when I'm on Trustroots or Couchers, I had to start at zero, which is, you know, kind of lame. So we started by making a notes, and this is live now. You can go check it out just to get a handle on the protocol, the techie stuff behind the scenes, how it works, how people might use it, how they might start using private public keys and managing that. So if you go to trustroots.org, in the top right, you'll see either the drop down or the link that says meet. Or not meet, fuck, that's the one they got rid of, which is a bummer. Meet is notes. So go to notes, and that takes you to a map, and there's instructions on there on how to leave notes on a map, which is yeah, pretty straightforward. but it gets you into the idea of using this Noster kind of thing, and pretty cool. So I've already got it working with trip hopping as well, so there's interoperability, which is kind of the point. So notes left on Trustroots you can see on trip hopping, and vice versa, and if anyone else wants to make a map app or anything, that data is available and you can keep those notes with you. So that's the first step. Kind of cool. Hopefully that makes sense. Didn't get too techie. I've been behind the laptop quite a bit lately, so might be too techie talk. Need to see where I'm going here. Oh, so that's that. And then obviously I decided to do a hitchhike to see Walter after that week or whatever it was doing the Trustroots stuff. Okay, here we go. Yeah, let's keep on going straight forever. Cool. So yeah, hitchhiked his way, and actually didn't think I was gonna make it. I got off, I got one ride pretty quick out of this little village I was in to the highway. Then a couple going to see their son in the hospital in Hanover picked me up. And then I was at that gas station where they dropped me off for hours, getting rained on. And that's when I was like, I saw the day slipping away. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it today. Probably tomorrow at this point. So, but you know, right when it looks that way, I then got a ride from a guy who said he was going to Belgium. I was like, all right, that's a good long ride. It's not exactly to where I'm going, but I started looking at the map and the various spots where I could get out. Thought about going to Antwerp because he was passing through Antwerp, but I'm like, oh, by the time I get there, it'll be kind of later. Any decent beer bar is going to be closed. Plus, it was looking pretty rainy. So I ended up getting out in Eindhoven, and it was sunset, and still I thought I was, you know, close but no cigar. And sure enough, I got picked up by this guy who said he was going to Tilburg, which is just, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes away. But he was intrigued to hear that I'd been traveling for just about 17 years, and he was coming back from this grappling class and telling me about his thing, and he was just like, oh, I'll take you to Breda, which is like the next little town over. I'm like, all right, cool. And then we're kind of like wrapping around Breda and heading north, and I'm like, huh, interesting. And then he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna take you to The Hague, which was like an hour out of his way. So actually 2 hours round trip, so pretty fucking incredible. So I was able to get to Walter's door before dark, after sunset, all in one piece. It was awesome. So cool. So excellent ride to get there. Yeah, and I told these times with Walter, always good. Eating Stroop waffles, kicking it, catching up, geeking out on computer stuff. I forget if we talked about it in the conversation because that was the other day when we recorded that, but he's working on a AI related startup, and with trip hopping I've been using AI and also implementing AI features into the app, so it's just interesting to bounce ideas off of each other. Super cool to geek out in that way, especially after geeking out with all the other travel tech kind of guys. Trustroots, momentum is building quite a bit with trip hopping, so super excited about that. Yeah, you guys can get on there now too, and I got some more exciting news for Patreon people, but they were the people on my Patreon were the first to get access to trip hopping, and I've kind of been like slyly mentioning it on here as well. The access code, which I made even simpler, it's just travel at this point. So if you go to triphopping.com, you'll see a little description of what it's all about, and then it asks for an access code and just type travel and it'll appear a way to create an account or sign in if you already have one. So that's cool, but exciting news for those of you on my Patreon. I think relatively soon I'm gonna be able to distribute the actual Android app in an internal testing kind of way, but whatever, it'll be the app, and the app is better. It's pretty awesome actually. There's a few extra features on there that I just haven't been able to do on the web, just as far as importing contacts and showing them on the map. For whatever reason, I've only been able to get the Trustroots API working on Android, which is fucking awesome, because then you can see, you can log in, link your Trustroots account, and that'll already let people know about your references, kind of what I was talking about, the Noster thing, but a way to do that right now, and see people on the map and junk, and show hitchhiking spots from HitchWiki maps and all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm excited to get the Android app out to people. So I'll be giving access to that to Patreon people first, see what they think. If you're interested in joining the Patreon, it's patreon.com/kenflannery. And besides stuff like early access to the app, let's see where I'm going right now. There we go. Besides that, I record like a micro podcast throughout the week, usually 2 or 3 times a week, just 2 to 5 minutes, sometimes longer, just non-stop kind of podcast episodes. And you'll be able to even get a private link so you can subscribe to that in whatever podcast app you might be listening to now. So it's pretty cool, and do all that for the cost of buying me a beer once a month. It's not too bad. So that's going on, but now you're hearing all this traffic and whatnot. You might be wondering where I'm going, and the answer is Amsterdam. I got my sign made up, going to a hitchhiking spot right now, short walk away. And I haven't been to Amsterdam in a minute. I don't know if it's been 5 years, 7 years, something. It's been a little bit, so just figured I'd go up there, check it out. I got a couple friends up there. One I'll be staying with, one hope to see, someone I just met in Ireland. Just kind of see what happens. So, and everything else is kind of wide open. It is looking more like I'll be staying in Europe for maybe the next month or something. I got to get out of the Schengen zone eventually. You can only stay in the Schengen zone, certain countries in Europe, for 90 days at a time. 90 days out of any 180 to be specific. But so that's what's up. Not much more to report. Hope you enjoyed the conversation with Walter. Check out the Trustroots thing, the notes. Definitely check out trip hopping. The more people using that, just the better. Like right now it's kind of like testing mode, but it's already usable. I can't talk enough about it. I just really like it, and your feedback is much appreciated. If stuff breaks, I want to know about it. Let me know. That's huge. I made this live feature that now works, and it's not going to be super cool until there's a ton of people using it, but it's already kind of cool. You can just turn on a toggle to go live, essentially. And by going live, it means you want to hang out, you need a ride, or you need a place to stay now. Like if you're live, it means you want to connect with someone like right now. And it shares your location, not precisely, for privacy, but it shows you're within like a mile or 2 radius of wherever you're at, and just that and you can leave a note about why you want to hang out or what's going on. It's awesome. I got the map working too, so even though right now there's not a ton of people on there, so the likelihood of you actually meeting with someone is low, but you can look at the map and just see who else is live at the moment, and that is pretty cool. That'll be cool right away, because even if you can't hang out, you might see that I'm in Amsterdam looking to grab a beer, and you might be across the world, but I think it's still kind of cool to see in real time who's hitchhiking, who's looking to hang out, whatever, because could still be cool. You might see that I'm like in Oslo and I need a host tonight, and maybe you're not in Oslo, but maybe you have a friend in Oslo, and you can message me and say, I see you're live and looking for a host, like my friend lives there, hit him up. So I don't know, I'm excited to see how people use the feature. It's a new one. I'm excited about that feature. It's freaking sweet. I'll be making it better. So yeah, freaking awesome. That's about it, y'all. Hope you guys are doing awesome, and I will see you down the road.
Plans I made, I need a new escape. With all my shit straight. I'll get my big brain.